How's the tone? Is it good? Is it okay? Hey film friends, I'm Nick Furman. This is Furman on Film. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we'll be reviewing how to blow up a pipeline. A crew of young environmental activists execute a daring mission to sabotage an oil pipeline. In Daniel Goldhaber's taut and timely thriller that is part high-stakes heist and part radical exploration of the climate crisis. Okay, so let's start with what I liked about this picture. The first thing is that this whole film is tense, like a thriller. It features this fierce, throbbing electronic music that mirrors the events that are unfolding on screen. Lots of handheld camera work. In fact, cinematographer DeCastro opts for a kind of sepia-tinted, grainy color grade here. I think it sort of calls to mind Traffic-era Soderbergh vibes. But the overall effect is to make things way less cinematic and a great deal more gritty. Everything is tightly edited, the pacing is purposeful, frenetic at some times, and slower in other moments as well. But even those have this sort of background agitation happening at all times. Now, the structure of this work is also intriguing. How to Blow Up a Pipeline begins in media res with these cross-cutting sequences of getting the band together, each of which lets us be a fly on the wall to the 8 members of this collective, their initial bargaining and the real-world struggles that led them to this activist point. The flashbacks are the characterization. And whatever else you want to say about the plot or messaging, I think it's undeniable that How To aims to be human-focused. It's an adrenaline rush for sure, but it's also an act of provocation, which is pretty undeniably effective as a thriller. Finally, a few of the characters have some secrets up their sleeves. And without spoiling, I'll just say that the writing adeptly doles these out piecemeal throughout the film's runtime. Okay, so let's move on to what I disliked, or a few criticisms of How to Blow Up a Pipeline. Well, there are several ways that you can take this movie to task. The most obvious would be to claim that this entire presentation is completely one-sided. The characters are sketched pretty rapidly and without a lot of extra scrupulous details. But more so, some would claim that this is an utterly biased missive which fails to see the bigger picture. The writers and directors are not particularly interested in any attempts at self-criticism, and in the end, you know the whole film objective is pretty much right there in the title. Some may argue it's extremely of the moment, others that it's preachy and over the top. I'm not sure that any of these criticisms particularly land with me, but I will say that I found some of the story just a little thin, and I think when How To believes that it's using quiet moments to allow this seething tension to percolate, sometimes it's really not as effective as it believes itself to be. Okay, so let's move on to talk about some of my own original thoughts and themes of How to Blow Up a Pipeline. I think the descriptor climate crisis heist thriller is an apt one here. The movie is an adaptation by the director and one of the film's stars of Andreas Malm's book of the same name. Now, Malm's work scrutinizes the history of various social justice movements and ultimately argues that property destruction is a valid tactic in the battle for environmental justice. So the seeds for justification of these acts, which resulted in no fatalities, but would certainly have financial trickle-down that could affect a great many people, is definitely right there in the source material. These are terrorist acts, after all. Now, I've already said that the timeline oscillates between this very tense unfolding mission in the present and each of these people's backstories, where each character comes into focus for a moment before returning back to the present. If the film does its job well, the idea is to create riveting and complex anti-heroes, where maybe we don't condone the conclusions of their logic, but we have a little more empathy to understand the motivations of their cause. At its best, How to Blow Up a Pipeline has the guts and lucidity to challenge these systemic evils boldly, while balancing on that razor's edge of never overtly endorsing the extreme lengths of action it depicts. Alright, so what do we conclude? Well, I heard one critic say it pretty well. How to Blow Up a Pipeline is an incendiary political barn burner as a daring heist thriller. It's like if Ocean's 11 found itself a cause. And with great scoring and pretty uniformly solid performances, this one is an intense ride with some bigger ideas on its mind. Well, there you have it. The only thing left to discuss is our rating for this film. FOF gives How to Blow Up a Pipeline 4 out of 5 stars. If you enjoyed this review, please let us know by giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Also, don't forget to visit our website, FurmanOnFilm.com, for even more movie content. Thanks for watching. I'm Nick Furman. This is Furman on Film. Stay firm, my friends.